This is a 46-year-old regime, and in those 46 years, they've seen nothing but the world gang up on them. And I mean, look, I'm not standing on the side of the Ayatollahs in Iran. In many ways, there's a reason the Soviet Union and America ganged up against you guys, because you're kind of radical, you know, and talk about Mahdi coming back. So yeah, everyone's going to be against you. But my point is that in those 46 years, we can actually use that time period as source of empirical data. Okay, so how does a regime run by a bunch of theocrats and Ayatollahs react when they're attacked by adversaries supported by the rest of the world? Benjamin Netanyahu today, Saddam Hussein in the 1980s, what is their reaction function to this? Number one, the regime does not collapse. The regime strengthens, it survives, it perseveres, because it uses these threats to create solidarity domestically. If you are opposing the suppression of women in Iran in 2022, it's difficult to shoot you in the streets, but we will. That's what Iran says. But in 2025, if you oppose the regime while Israel is bombing the country, you are a traitor and therefore will be obviously executed. If these people are willing to shoot people who protest against the hijab, let me tell you, they will definitely not hesitate killing someone protesting while they're being attacked. So that's the first thing. The regime is safe, at least for now. And as long as there are actual Israeli planes in the airspace of Iran, I would bet anything that the regime will survive that. The second thing is that because they are safe, they don't panic in these situations. And your point about the 86-year-old Ayatollah appointing successors and thus willing to meet his maker, I actually see it differently. The fact that there is now 3 successors means that the regime is thinking long-term, means that there's enough corrupt, rich Ayatollahs running around hoping that they see a 2027 model of the Porsche Cayenne. And the reason I say that is that I once overheard an intelligence officer tell me that Tehran has the highest per capita Cayenne ownership in the world. What's the point of this? What's the point? The point is that these guys are not actually religious zealots anymore. They were in the 1980s when Saddam attacked them. Why didn't they close the Strait of Hormuz then? Why did they not even attempt it? Why did they not, I don't know, like invade Saudi Arabia? And why would they do it today if they didn't then? Today, they got a lot of less lead left in their pencil. A lot less. They really like that fine, hand-stitched green leather inside a Cayenne. You're telling me that this time they're going to be more zealous than they were in the 80s? I struggle to see that. And this is why we come to the big question. Like, if they actually cross some red line, or maybe a pink line, it's tough to see if it's really red. But I think they know where the line is. And the line is, if you mess with that 20% of energy that transits through the Strait of Hormuz, if you look at the map, dear listeners, Persian Gulf empties into the Indian Ocean through the Strait of Hormuz. Very, very narrow choke point. Many say, well, they don't have the capacity. If they can't defend themselves against Israeli fighter jets, how would they close the straits? Well, there's a problem of asymmetry here. And the problem of asymmetry is that they can't defend themselves against Israeli fighter jets, but closing the Straits of Hormuz is relatively easy. You can do it with drones. You can do it with little Zodiac boats and dinghies like the Somali pirates did. You're attacking commercial, defenseless vessels through the straits. And so, yes, they have the capacity to do that. And it's actually really difficult for the US Navy to protect the strait. How do you protect it against tiny drones and tiny Zodiacs filled with like 2 suicide bombers, like in that famous scene in Syriana? How do you actually do it? The US would have no real game plan against this. And therefore, the US, instead of trying to open the strait, would shift towards, let's turn Iran into a parking lot.